Tomorrow marks 2 months since recreational cannabis became legal in Canada. It's like just yesterday. That was clearly a very big deal. So big, news editors have voted it Canada's business story of the year, easily apparently beating out the new NAFTA agreement. But as with any new business, there are growing pains. Legal stores have been slow to open. Their numbers vary widely across the country, and that means there are places where the black market continues to thrive. As Laura Lynch shows us, Vancouver is among many cities still trying to weed out illegal shops.
Days after a court order to shut down, it's business as usual at Cannabis Culture.
Flatten them all out and then you pour the weed in.
Where joints are being rolled and sold for $5 each. This is one of 28 shops in Vancouver that is in a dispute with the city over licensing. The chain was raided last year. It's one of hundreds across Canada shut down by police only to reopen. Now, though, there are fears of a severe crackdown.
Legal stores are not opening up. Legal supply lines are being choked off.
This pot activist says she's frustrated by the bureaucracy that threatens to cut off marijuana to those who want it.
At this moment, Cannabis Culture is in negotiations with the city on figuring out how much time there is to respond and what our response will be.
In the wake of the ruling, pot shop and dispensary owners have a decision to make: close their doors, or like the owner of this chain, Don Briere, keep the business running and appeal the ruling.
Well, I'd say he's wasting his money. I think that the law is very firmly on our side.
The mayor of Vancouver insists he understands the issues, but Kennedy Stewart says the illicit shops have to face up to reality.
Realize that the jig is up, really. There's nowhere else to go. And instead of investing their time in more court cases or other kind of, I think, actions that aren't going to work, just get on with your business. You know, just shut down your current operation, apply for the proper licensing, and then move ahead and invest in that.
In the end, this is about business, a flowering multi-billion-dollar business. So no surprise government not only wants to control it, but reap the revenue it generates. Laura Lynch, CBC News, Vancouver.
So while pot legalization is certainly taking time to squeeze out the illegal pot, it hasn't deterred some cannabis companies from their plans to try and dominate the global market. Catherine Cullen takes us to Europe to find out why Canada's pot expertise is in such high demand.
Welcome to Denmark's postcard-perfect region of Odense. Swaths of agricultural land outside a major city where they grow tomatoes, cucumbers, and now, something new.
It's actually coming from Canada.
A Danish vegetable grower has teamed up with a Canadian cannabis company to embrace the country's new medical pot market. Danes say they're benefiting from Canada being ahead of the game.
Canada and cannabis, it's in the front in the world. So they have a lot of knowledge.
And this is only the beginning. Aurora Nordic is building a 1 million square foot facility with plans to sell in Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland too. They want to be the largest pot producer on the continent. But there's competition.
The warm-up's over, man. Now we start playing. It's great. It's just a start.
Canada's largest pot producer, Canopy Growth, has its eyes on the global market too.
About 90% of my time is international, right? Where I'm going is Europe, South America. Last week was Australia. There are now 30+ countries that want to regulate cannabis.
He's building in Denmark as well and exporting to Germany's medical market. He believes in the next few years more and more countries will legalize recreational pot, and he's trying to position his company for global dominance.
If we do it just right, it could be one of those great Canadian companies that disrupts the whole world.
But back in Denmark, recreational pot remains illegal.
I don't think it's a top issue right now.
Not enough interest from the public and little support from police mean few politicians here are interested in the legalization debate, he says.
If you look at the Danish parliament, I don't think you can today see that there will be a majority towards legalizing.
But it's not today that Danish and Canadian businesses are betting on, only that if Canada's example to the world eventually proves to be a good one, others are sure to follow. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
It's worth noting that one of the big changes we've seen here in Canada since legalization is just how many Canadians are getting involved in the cannabis industry. Check out the latest numbers from Statistics Canada. They show that more than 10,000 people had cannabis-related jobs in November, not surprisingly up 266% from the year before. That's a lot. The majority work in agriculture, meaning they are the ones doing the actual growing and producing of the product.